I'm learning things every day as part of my role. As someone who is new to the sector, Vulkan was completely new to me when I started the job, and so each task I work on, I'm learning a new aspect of the API.
So we deal with quite a lot of exciting stuff on both the hardware and the software sides.
At Imagination, we get to work on the latest technologies. Like recently, we released the first conformer driver for one of the Kronos APIs.
I'm actually working for an automotive team. We have this name, an automotive team, but in reality, we are the team of people who deal with weird, strange, and wonderful operational systems.
The things that I was fascinated by when I was in uni are ways to emulate and develop hardware, which would be things like FPGAs, emulators, like really cutting-edge things.
So I guess everyone knows about Linux, but not many people know about QNX or Integrity. And our team, what it does, we take our DDK, our huge blob of graphical driver, and port it onto various operational systems, as I've already given two examples: Integrity, QNX.
The technologies I use, particularly in my line of work, is the main language uses C, so nice and old-fashioned. We don't tend to use any particularly ridiculous IDEs or anything like that. We just tend to use standard text editors. The build system's set up quite nicely. It's a fairly simple system. There wasn't that much to learn when we came in.
I myself have a little specialization in virtualization, which means that I support and maintain our virtualization solution based on Integrity and also involving Linux.
As a member of the OpenGLES team, my primary focus is working on the OpenGLES driver. The OpenGL and OpenGLES teams are closely related. And of course, we're building on top of our Power BI GPUs, the full spectrum we cover from the very low end to the high end. In terms of the operating systems, we tend to develop on Linux and Android being our biggest target market.
We're working on the leading edge of Vulkan development and working with other industry partners to develop the specification.
I have to learn new things practically every day without exaggeration.
We usually get to know the latest trends in hardware, and because we work together as a team, so we know what other teams are working on, and that's how we learn from how do we make the product better. So in terms of product, we get to learn a lot.
First of all, that's the nature of the job. Second, it is the nature of work at Imagination, because it's so inclusive and there is so much freedom to get involved with what actually interests you, that you learn new things not only when you progress with your own requirement, task, or project, whatever it happens to be, but also through knowledge sharing with other team members.
Oh, definitely. I feel like you have to keep learning things. There's far too much for one person to learn it all in one go. Whether that be new coding techniques, new tools, or even just new faces, there's way too much going on to pick it up in such a short period.
Feelings, I think there's definitely potential at Imagination, because when you come to the company, you obviously you can't know how our technology works because most of it's in-house. So there's definitely potential there to learn things. Now, obviously, that's like caveats. I'm not sure we've always necessarily done that in the best way. And one of the things I've actually been working on is the improving the new starter training. Yeah, I mean, it's really just trying to prepare some materials for people who join the team to give them a head start. I think it can rapidly accelerate people's growth if they have an introductory session giving them an overview, as opposed to trying to decipher it from day-to-day work?
Yes, I'm always learning new things and always learning how to adapt the knowledge I have into solving the problems that I need to.
I've been working for most of my 5 years at Imagination on the GPU virtualization stack, on the software side of things. And it is quite an exciting feature. We've been working on it for quite a while and it's been developing steadily. And I think my various contributions from the beginning along to the virtualization stack are the things that I'm most proud of.
I'm proud of being able to contribute to the driver development as someone who has come from perhaps a not conventional computer science background. And I'm able to do so whilst learning a lot of stuff about the API.
I fixed one of the very complex issues with an automotive customer. So it was only reproducible in Japan. So we traveled to Japan and we got it all together with multiple teams involved, and there were a lot of simulations happening. So there was a lot of investment from Imagination as well as from the customer. And then finally we got to the bottom of it and fixed that issue.
The thing I've been most proud of recently is, the past, had a sort of ongoing project, about 5-6 months. And pretty recently it's finally started to see light. It's been pretty good seeing that it started working finally.
A company more customer centric, and I think it's working out to be very well. So one of the exciting times I remember while working here is when I was working on one of the customer issues. So the customer was having an issue with their high-end product. An issue was quite hot at that time. So I have to work really hard and for long hours to get to the solution.
I'm most proud of how we delivered the Vulkan 1.3 specification update.
One of the things I'm most pleased with that I worked on was that there was a limitation to one of our lines of GPUs that turned out to be quite a critical problem, because that market segment really needed this feature, and it was putting us at both a competitive disadvantage and was meaning that real-world apps couldn't use this feature. And so I wrote a software emulation for it, and I think the thing I found satisfying about that was that it solved very concrete problems. I could see how it was helping the company because it made that line of chips competitive in that market, but I could also see that there were real phones out there that could now do something that they couldn't before. So as an engineer, that's quite satisfying.